Now, I want to explain something because I make some videos and a lot of people was kind of upset of me because I says the Nordic country, the Scandinavian one, are a socialist ones, and I stand by that. And I'm gonna explain my position in this video, why I think is that, and also why I think in the Scandinavian country it will not last that much longer with their system. But I want to say first, this is pretty much a northern country. I didn't include Iceland because I thought it's a small country and not gonna make that much of difference. But who knows? Maybe in the future I'm gonna make one of those videos. Now, uh, obviously, the biggest problem, like I saw, some comment was on my side, and but most of them was against me. Even from those people who are not living there, and also most of them are living in those northern countries. But also some people that are living in northern countries was, let's say, on my side. Now, with the Nordic tax, as you're gonna see, the average rate in the world is around 31%, which is huge in my opinion. The European average is 32%, which I thought was gonna be much higher, but apparently not. The OECD average is 41%, 42%, let's call it. In the Nordic countries, however, the tax rate are higher, with Denmark at 55, 56%, Finland at 51, 52%, Iceland 42, 46%, Norway at 47.2%, and Sweden 57%. So I'm not sure how accurate those data is, but just like I say, as a quick search, I'm not living in those countries. I can say in my country I pay around 45%, which it's insanely high, I would say, but that's why probably we are poor here. But the problem, what I say with these Scandinavian countries, why they are socialist, or at least going into the state, but they already are there. My problem it is when you tax me. Let's say that I'm living in, at least I work in one of those countries and I'm living in them, and so on. Let's say I'm working there, and you're gonna give me, let's say, an average at 50%. Let's call it. Sweden had 57, but let's call it 50%. You're gonna take from my paycheck 50%, half of my work is gone, half gone, done. Half of my work you're gonna take it, and every month, and you're gonna pretty much, let's say, spend it on things like education for kids, for healthcare for who needs it, for social security, whatever that might mean, for let's say you are unemployed and you need money to survive until you find a job, stuff like that. The problem with that system, in my opinion, is it works, let's say, if you have a growing population year by year by, I don't know, 2-3%, which is huge, which none of those have it, first of all. Second of all, let's say if I want to focus on myself, let's say I don't want to have kids, I'm taking care well of myself and I don't need medical care, I find a good job, or let's say I have times when I didn't work for a few years and I didn't ask for let's say benefits or whatever they call it. When you do not work, the state is going to pay your money. I never asked for that, and I was, let's say, without a job for a few years in a row. But let's say I don't want that, I don't want kids, I don't want that. But with that, I still have to pay for someone else, which I think, in my opinion, it's wrong. Because instead I have those money, let's say 50% is huge number. I would say for the overall taxes on work, at least, should be at most 5%. There's no way you can ask for more than 5%. Even 10%, I think it's high. 5% should be the limit. But if I want to have medical care, I have to have medical insurance or stuff like that, you're supposed to pay for, let's say, from your own money, I would say. Because if I pay for my own money and I don't, it's worse like a car insurance, if you don't need it that much, if you, or at least you go for the check, to just check yourself every year and don't find any problems, you take care of yourself. Usually, like in cars, supposed to go down. Again, I'm not sustaining that the system in the private sector is perfect. That's not a case. That's still broken, and you need to fix that too. But now we're talking about this socialist welfare state, call it whatever you want. So if I go to the doctor and I don't have a problem, I just check every year, like used to be, at least in a car. Now car insurance, that market is broken too. It will go down every year by year. And if you decide, let's say 1 year, you don't want to do it because you want to move into other country or stuff like that, clearly you're going to stop that. You're going to pay in another country, or you're going to have those European one. It depends where you move. That's a different discussion. Also, if I don't want to have kids, clearly I don't need to pay for someone else. But again, in this system, it's going to force you. And also somebody raised the question, paid college. Well, that's another problem, I would say. In America, yeah, it's a bad example, but I would say if you want to go to college, you're supposed to pay for your study because you want to go there to learn whatever you want to do in your life, and hopefully you're going to do it after you graduate, because I think most of them, they're not even going that field, so they are also wasted money. But again, that's another discussion. But also, a lot of people, like I say, a lot of people have now graduate from the high school, also from the universities, and I don't see, especially in my country, I would say, I don't see a huge difference in pay. Probably by the state, I think they pay them like, I don't remember exactly, probably like 10 euros more or something like that, which is which is insanely small. And most of those friends that I have and family that finish a college, a university, I didn't, by the way. They don't go in the same field that they study. So in my opinion, that was also wasted. Right now in Europe, I would say most of them, not everybody, clearly somebody is going to benefit from them, but I would say like more than 90% of those graduated, they don't even work in the field that they study. So that, in my opinion, I would say it's wasted money. But it looks well on the paper when you say like 30%, 40%, 50%, 90% of their citizens have a degree in whatever they study. That's another problem that I have. I would like to have my money and vote with them. And by the way, after you pay that 50% in taxes, from the 50% that you have left, you have to pay also taxes if you have a property, which again, it's insane. Taxes if you have a car, again, totally against it. Taxes on when you go on to buy something, especially in my country. If I want to buy, let's say, a phone, or I want to buy services, I want to buy something from the house, doesn't matter, I don't know, some soap or whatever, I have to pay another 19% on that price. So you can see how much they add up with those taxes. Also, if you use the road, I have to pay taxes on that too. If you already pay taxes when you buy the gas, so we have pretty much two taxes on the same stuff. Again, this is where you go with this welfare socialist states. If you might say maybe we are not there, if you live in Finland or Norway, whatever, you say we are not that bad, or it's a different system, other people they think differently. Trust me, they don't. There are people everywhere, people are pretty much the same everywhere they go. So especially you have migrants, now you take migrants from the outside of the continent, you pay them housing, you pay them welfare, you pay them medicine, you pay whatever they need, you educate them, whatever, you put them to school to learn the language and stuff like that. And probably, like I said, most of them, you're not gonna work, you're gonna still pay for them in the next few years, who knows. And some point, I think Sweden, I didn't find the article exactly, but Sweden, let me check this one. I think Sweden pay migrants to live. I don't spell it right, but I'm not sure exactly if I make this. So Sweden wants to pay migrants up to whatever the currency they have there, 350,000 Swedish crown to leave the country. So they already are gonna pay, how much is it in euros? Oh, 34,000 euros. So you're gonna pay after you bring them in, you're gonna pay another 30,000 euros to just leave, which is insane. And probably they're gonna go back in some way in a country to just make some more money or whatever, to ask for another 34,000 dollars to live. So yeah, if you have, and by the way, those are for the native people, native Swedish people that work, and probably they don't get by that easy as those in a high position, and they have to pay even for those government mistake. that they don't want to stop because, in their opinion, it's so well to have a welfare state and a socialist, let's say, direction. If you are not agree with a socialist economy, but when you put taxes so much, even on the work, God knows how much they pay for a house there. God knows how much they pay if you own the house, for the car, for insurance, for whatever they needed. And also, I have to make I want to say something. In my country, when you pay all of those stuff, by the way, you are not sure you're gonna receive a pension in the future. At least I don't think so. When you have a free medical system, a lot of people are gonna abuse them. They're gonna go there every single day because they have nothing to do home, especially the elderly, the old people. They're gonna go and just pretty much overwhelm the system, I would say. And when you need it once every 10 years or whatever, you're gonna have to stay in line for a few days, or who knows. When you have to go and have an x-ray, you're gonna say, oh, we're gonna schedule you for the 3 months from now, which is insane. If you want to go faster, you have to go to the private sector and pay for it, and most of the people go there and pay. So you can see this socialist system, this welfare system, has a very low limitation, I would say. And they go with the assumption that people are good and are gonna do the right step, the right stuff, the things, and it's a lie also. And those people don't wanna see that. And also, a lot of countries like those welfare systems, because when you tax people so much and you have all the money in the pool, it's easier to, let's say, steal it, because you're gonna have some contracts with some companies that who knows who owns them, probably even a lot of them by them, or a lot of them in the family or friends, and they're gonna get paid somehow under the table, let's say, and all the stuff like that. And don't say, Scandinavian countries, you don't have corruption, because you have corruption. Everybody has corruption. You're not gods on this planet. We are just humans. So yeah, this is what I say when I don't agree, and I don't see a bright future for those Scandinavian countries with the system that they have. God knows if they change it, good for them. But for individual to just pay that much taxes, and who knows, you're gonna benefit from that. And like I said, a lot of people choose to have less kids, so the education part and give you money to have kids and all the stuff, that is not gonna work. And you're gonna pay for those, let's say, migrants that they go there and they have a lot of kids, and because they don't have to pay for them, just government gonna pay for them. And then you have to, then you go to the government gonna say, hey, we're gonna pay you $30,000 to just leave after you already pay a lot of money to just bring him in and house him and all that stuff. I think it's insane. It's a waste of money. But if you're living in one of the Scandinavian countries and you like the system, you think it's good, you should continue like this, go ahead. I don't blame you for anything. But that's my position. That's what I stand with this when I said I don't think it's a system that's going to last that much longer, especially with the shifting population. They're going to go down. They try to, even in Europe, they have pretty much, Europe, it's a welfare state. They try to get migrants to keep the wages as low as possible. And even governments, when they have those minimum wage, they kind of like it when they raise them a bit, because they're going to get 50% for not much more pool. So they're going to get much more money in taxes. So that's somehow good for them, especially if you don't have that many employees in a government sector, and most of them they are in a private area. Even better. And also, they just pretty much, in my country, they just raise the property taxes just a bit every year. That, not to feel it, but it's gonna add up so much. Let's say in 10 years, probably it's gonna be more than double. So you're gonna see how if you already have just a bit of socialism, just a bit of welfare state, how much that can grow over time. And that's why Europe is in such a mess. And I don't think they're gonna recover from this, because there's no way they're gonna move to another system. Now with the pressure from Russia, probably is gonna be a bit of the difference. We're gonna see how that is gonna play, because I don't think they're gonna. I mean, look at this. The Nordic, what is this? The Sweden have already more than 50% taxes. So how much you can go up with that? You have to cut some spending in some ways. But yeah, that's my opinion about those Scandinavians. If you have a different opinion, go right ahead, comment, no problem. I will read them and probably I'm gonna respond to them. But I don't think it's a fair system for the guy that just wanna go to work, make his life how he wanted, and also not pay that many taxes, because when you pay for someone else, it just pretty much is gonna it's gonna let's say demoralize you to do more, and because you're gonna see that when you go the paycheck, if you're 50%, pretty much it's out of the window, and in that month probably you're not gonna feel that benefits, or in even the year, even if in your younger years you're not gonna feel the benefits. And with that money probably you can build a much better life, and who knows, maybe invest the money so you don't have to wait for a pension from the government. When you have how much is the retirement age in those Scandinavian countries? I think in France they have that huge protest when they raise it. Why do you think it's gonna happen? They're gonna raise the retirement age probably at 70 in the next 15 years. So clearly you're not gonna receive that much money. Probably you're gonna die at 80 if you get lucky. So just 10 years of receiving if you go to there. Because a lot of people, let's tell the truth, a lot of people die at 35, 40, 50. They pay a lot of money and they never receive those benefits. So again, that's why I say it's a problem with the system. That's why I don't like it. So again, you have to have a great private system. You need to have some sort of bureaucracy, not too much, but enough to just make it work in a private sector in a way that's supposed to work. Because even the private sector now, there are huge problems. I would say it's not perfect, not even close. But when you sustain these welfare states, there's not much future, I would say, for anyone there. And clearly you can see even in Europe, when one of the reasons, not the main one I would say, but one of the reasons when I see those population go down, is because I would say the welfare state, when you see at least in my case, when you see that you work an entire month or entire year and you're going to see how much money you pay up front just from the salary, not mention, like I say, the other taxes on the side, just from the salary or just from your work, that much, it's kind of insane. And now you have to understand why those rich people, they try to avoid it, because it feels it's not fair. And probably they have enough too, and they just make some let's say loopholes for them to just escape those high taxes. And who knows, I believe if I was one of those rich guys, probably I'm gonna use it too. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not gonna say, oh no, I'm gonna pay 50%. No, probably I'm gonna use it, because I don't want to pay that much money and not see any benefits of that, because let's face it, most of us doesn't, at least from those who works. So yeah, that was the video. I hope you got extremely angry with me, but if you left to the end, because I just watch a minute and I have to stop it. If you watch a minute of the video, not gonna stand much. You have to watch the whole video, then you can comment. I'm gonna respond in the comment section, no problem. But that's my idea. This is why I think, and I came from a socialist country, keep in mind, so I saw how the system, at least in this part of the Europe, how it works. And also, like I say, you see pretty much everywhere you go, because when you need it, it's not gonna be there to deliver, let's say. So yeah, if you are that angry with me, like I say, I don't have anything against you. Can believe in. That's why I never delete comments, whatever, if they're not something let's say forbidden by the YouTube. But doesn't matter what's your opinion, it's well acceptable, and I hope maybe you can see things differently and also accept some other opinions.